Hello, 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 everyone. I was at the New York Film Festival and I have another review. So now we're talking about The Brutalist, which is the latest film by child actor turned director Brady Corbett. His most recent film was 2018's Vox Lux, starring Natalie Portman, which I really liked a lot. I felt like the presentation was unique. It was shocking at times in good ways and in bad ways. I loved that opening credits sequence, and it's a film that I think about to this day. It's not a perfect film, but it stayed in the back of my mind since I saw it. When I heard that his new film, The Brutalist, was getting all of this acclaim, winning awards, I was like, what do we have here? Another year, another 3-hour masterpiece? Well, not exactly, even though a lot of people have been saying that, but we'll get into that in a minute. The Brutalist centers around a fictional character named Laszlo Toth, played by Adrian Brody, who is an architect and a Hungarian Jewish Holocaust survivor, who makes his way to America in search of a better life for his wife, played by Felicity Jones, and his niece, played by Raffi Cassidy. Once he acclimates himself into the country, he finds that he's left one horror and entered another. One thing to know about this film is that, again, it's 3 hours. It's not an Oppenheimer 3-hour runtime, okay? We're talking Irishman and Killers of the Flower Moon numbers here. Some people may find that daunting, but unlike those films, there is a 15-minute intermission so you can take a break. I think the placement of the intermission is quite good too, so when you watch it and then the intermission hits, you're like, wow, I can stand, I can feel blood rush to my toes, and also, I really want to see what happens next. The first half of The Brutalist is undeniably incredible. The beginning throws you right in. There is no easing you into the experience besides a 30-second overture, which I thought was kind of funny because usually in the films that I've seen with an overture, it's about like 5 minutes of you sitting in the dark with the word overture on screen, and you're just listening to the music and getting sucked in and hypnotized by the vibes, and then the film starts. But with The Brutalist, the overture is like 30 seconds, and then the movie starts, and so I was like, oh shit, I need to wake up. But anyway, the atmosphere, compositions, and tone are stellar and immersive. The score is triumphant. The opening credits are designed in such a way that made me feel like every credit sequence should be presented like this. Not just the fact that it was designed in a unique way, but when text goes from right to left, you can actually read everything. Even if there are multiple names on screen, it makes it so much easier to read. I don't know why that is, but fucking Brady Corbett figured it out. It's pretty cool. Watch the film and tell me that I'm wrong. I'm harping a lot on the first couple of minutes because if you're not invested in the beginning, you kind of check out for the rest of it. It's really hard to win someone over when you're not really giving off a good first impression. And Adrian Brody is a big part of that. He gives one of the best performances of the year, and probably one of his best performances, period. He might be a lock for Best Actor if the Academy collectively forgets about Dune Part 2, or just doesn't see Timothée Chalamet in Dune as, worthy of winning an Oscar, even though I feel a certain way about it. But Adrian Brody's probably a lock, and I feel that way because we didn't really know much about his character until that moment outside of the bus, but Brody's ability to communicate how important this moment was to him looked effortless, and it almost brought me to tears. Like, I don't know anything about this character, but he learns this information, and the way he breaks down, I was like, am I crying now? It was really powerful. Guy Pearce, who you know from Memento and several other roles, including being the real Mandarin from Iron Man 3, is a scene stealer throughout this movie. Let me tell ya. Given the tone that is set from the beginning, it's hard to get a sense that anything in the film that's unfolding in front of you could be funny, but Guy Pearce is hysterical. He plays his role as mid-century business tycoon with so much seriousness that you cannot help but laugh at him. The mixture of observations his character makes, as well as his precise pronunciation of every word and his body language, that gives off the impression that a stick is so far up his ass, if he moves, it might snap inside of his body. These qualities make for not just an interesting performance, but also, I feel, may have influenced the edit in some of his scenes. We are often looking at him taking in information that felt exclusive to his scenes in relation to the rest of the cast. He was just so interesting to look at. Felicity Jones, Rose takes on a role that is somewhat familiar but allows her to go to places we've never seen her go, which I found pretty exciting. This film is chock full of actors doing exciting work, including Joe Alwyn, who I've usually found to be a charisma vacuum, similarly to a Liam Hemsworth type, but here I felt captivated by his presence on screen, especially by the choice to sound exactly like Guy Pearce's character, which says a lot about his character. There's a lot of good going on here, including the visual aesthetic, which at times is hypnotic and staggering. The thing that makes it more impressive is how much they were able to capture in quantity and quality, and for the lack of budget they had to shoot with. A 3.5-hour epic about architecture for well under $10 million. I mean, it's something to pay attention to, but then, unfortunately, the second half happens. The narrative momentum slowly comes to a halt. There are moments where you understand why certain things would happen on paper, but the execution was questionable. And then we reach the final few scenes that quite literally derail everything that happened before it and make you question everything that you just watched. So if you don't want to be spoiled for The Brutalist, just come back later. And if you have seen the film, just stick around and hear my take. If you agree or disagree, tell me in the comments. We're just gonna get right to it. So The Brutalist is not just a film about architecture, trauma, and how hard it is for refugees to assimilate in America in a more overtly racist time like the middle of the century, but it is specifically about the road to Zionism. I had some people disagree with me on Letterboxd saying that it's actually anti-Zionist, but honestly, I don't know how this could be interpreted in any other way. It's treated as the logical conclusion for the protagonists. It doesn't feel like White Ribbon or Zone of Interest, where the intention is to critique and the point of view is the point. I don't feel a sense of irony in the narrative for the 3 hours preceding it, and the fact that this character, Laszlo Toth, is a fictional character in the vein of Lydia Tarr just makes it worse. Like, did you have to manufacture a whole character that survived one of the most horrific things that's ever happened just to have a narrative on why Zionism is a just cause? Especially in a time when they were writing this, which was probably around 2021, that country was bombing civilians for weeks in the spring of that year, where they even leveled the Associated Press building for the same reasons they're giving today for bombing refugee camps and schools and hospitals. For all of the research that directors claim to do about their subjects, they seem to routinely fail when it comes to international politics. Again, some people may disagree with me given the very few moments of the film that are delegated to bringing this to the forefront and think, you really shouldn't critique the whole film based on this one aspect of it, but it's when and how it bubbles up to the surface that counts. When you have these characters with these specific needs, with antagonists interacting with them in these specific ways, the conclusion the protagonists come to cannot be perceived as anything but earnest. These people want to escape the horrors that they've just endured, but now they're under the thumb of people who are basically Nazis, and what is their conclusion? To live in Israel. But I don't know. I may watch the film again and come to a different conclusion, but I foresee this becoming a point of discourse when it releases next month and the awards that will follow. To conclude, the first half is genuinely one of the best films of the year, but in the second half, it falls apart on a narrative and philosophical level, and I'm giving The Brutalist a 6 out of 10. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you agree or disagree, tell us in the comments. Subscribe if you haven't already. Share with your friends. Do all the things. Check out the Patreon. We've got a whole bunch of stuff coming soon. It's going to be great, and have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.